Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Tech Tip Tuesday. In this Tech Tip, we're going to be talking about laptop and desktop computers. I get a lot of questions regarding what kind of computer should I buy. I would say I probably get these questions at least 2 to 3 times a week. Someone's looking for a computer either for their children or for themselves, and they don't know exactly where to start. Well, in this tech tip, I'm going to make it very brief. I'm going to talk about the three things that you need to look for when buying a PC, specifically PCs. I would do another video on Macs. Macs are pretty good across the board. You usually don't have to worry about that. But when it comes to PCs, there are a lot of different PCs depending on your needs. So starting with this Dell, I'm on the Dell website, and starting with this Dell, the three things you want to look for is a processor, you want to look for memory and storage, right? Your processor is comparably, I would compare it to like a car engine, right? Your car engine, you have a four-cylinder, you have a four-cylinder turbo, you have a V6, you have a V8, all the way up to V12, right? Of course, a V12 engine will cost much more than a car that has a four-cylinder. And it's the same way with a computer. If you have a basic processor, right? I'm going to compare the processor to your car engine because the processor determines the speed of your computer. The better the processor, usually the better the functionality of the computer. If you have a PC that's running slow, or when you bought it, it was okay, it wasn't that fast, more than likely it's because you have a computer with a slow processor, right? The computer on the screen in front of us right now, I would not recommend this computer to someone that's doing work. Maybe a child, someone in elementary school. I would recommend a computer like this, but I wouldn't recommend it for everyday tasks with someone like an adult or a college student. The reason being is because this computer has an AMD Ryzen processor. It's not that Ryzen processors are bad, but a lot of times they're kind of the bottom of the barrel. They're the intro processors to these computers. So I would look for a processor that's, you might want to write this down, a processor that's usually an Intel i5, an Intel i7, and Intel i9. Those three are really good processors in your PCs. The next thing you want to look for is memory, right? You want to come over here to memory. This computer has 16 gigs of memory, which is really good. I would recommend a minimum of 8 gigs of RAM, right? 8 gigs of RAM. This one has 16, but 8 would suffice just the same. The other thing, of course, is your storage. This has 512 gigs of storage, which is really good for most of us. That's all we need is 512. It goes up to a terabyte, 2 terabytes, but 512 is good. You don't want anything less than this. Because when you start getting to 256 and 128, you run out of storage rather quickly, right? So moving on up, this is a PC that I would recommend. As you can see, this PC is an Intel i7, right? i7 processors are really good. They're pretty solid. You don't have any drag or any problems with those. Also, this particular computer has 16 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. And as you can see, there's definitely a price difference. And that's because you're just getting better quality components and you're getting more in this particular computer. So, guys, the next time you go to buy a PC, remember it's not always about price, but it's about what's under the hood, right? You want to get at least an i5 processor or higher. You want to have at least 8 gigs of RAM, right? And you want to have at least 512 gigabytes of storage. And finally, I'll talk about the display. Display size, you want something that's at least 13 inches, right? Don't go below 13 inches. Anything below that is like a tablet. It's basically a tablet with a keyboard. All right, guys, I hope that helped. If you have any questions or you want to learn anything else, please email me and let me know.